Hey guys, Paradoxio here. Welcome back to a brand new video, everybody. This is part 10 of our Making a Discord Bot in Python Series 2024 edition. And in this video, we are going to be making some simple moderation commands for our Discord bot. Now, when I say moderation commands, I mean some commands that we can use to moderate the members in a Discord server. So your clear messages command or delete command, your kick and ban and unban commands as well, those are the 4 commands we're going to be doing in this video. Now in the future, I do plan to make a mute and a warn command or infraction command, sorry. Got those 2 words mixed up apparently. But I do plan to make some videos on how to set those systems up, where we can set our own mute role and then give it to any member who needs to be muted. But today we're just going to be focusing on clear, kick, ban, and unban, and we are going to be doing this with slash commands inside a cog. Now I already have my cog created, and I have the basic template for a cog where I defined a class called mod as a commands.cog object, and then I have it set up here. And at the top, of course, we want to import Discord, and then from Discord extension, import commands, and from Discord, import app commands, which this is how we're going to make our slash commands in case you didn't know. And of course, this is inside my cogs folder. So we already have our onReady function that I made off camera. So what we're going to do now is start making our clear command. So app commands dot command. We're going to give it a name and we're going to set it to clear. And a description, we're just going to type in delete a specified amount of messages from the channel. Now, with the descriptions, the maximum character limit is, I believe, 100, so be sure to make them short and sweet. And the names, as you may already know, have to be all lowercase. Now, since this is a clear command, and of course we only want our staff team members or our moderators to be able to use it, we want to check and make sure they have the proper position. So we're going to type in app commands dot checks dot has permissions, and in here we're going to pass in the permissions that we want to make sure they have. So for deleting messages, that permission is going to be manage messages. We're going to set that to true. Now all of the permissions that you can pass in the parameters are on discord.py's official documentation, and they correspond to the actual permission that you can find and set to a role on here. So if I scroll down, I can eventually find manage messages somewhere in here. Manage messages right here. So that way, if the member's top role has this switched on, they can use the command. And another important thing when making moderation commands is you want to make sure your bot has all the necessary permissions, because if it doesn't, then it cannot perform the action when the command is called upon, or, well, in the Discord context, the interaction. Speaking of, we're going to go ahead and start making our commands logic. So I'm just going to call this delete messages. I'm going to pass in self and interaction. Discord.interaction. And then we're going to type in amount. And we're going to type hint it as an integer. Now, something else with slash commands is any argument that we want to pass through, we have to type hint it. It's just how slash commands are built upon. We have to type hint what the argument's supposed to be. So if the argument in your slash command is supposed to be a number, then we want to use integer or float. If it's just a string, like a message or something, then it's going to be str for string. Or if it's a mention of a member or user, then we're going to use the discord.member or .user object. Same thing as if it was a role, a channel, a voice channel, a category as well, anything. So we want to make sure we're type hinting these correctly. Now, this is optional, but you could set this equal to a default amount, like 10 or 5 or 15, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to set it to a default value. I'm just going to leave it required to be specified. But after that, we can go ahead and indent. And what we're going to do is we're going to perform a check. We're going to check if the amount is greater than 1. And actually, no, we're going to check if the amount is less than 1. I'm sorry. So if amount is less than 1, then what we're going to do is we're going to type in await interaction.channel.send. And we are going to type in interaction.user.mention. Please specify a value greater than 1. And of course, that's because you can't delete 0 messages, or you can't delete a negative amount of messages. That's just not possible, obviously. So that's why we want to have this check here. Otherwise, it will completely crash our bot if that error ever occurs. And after that, we want to return because we want to end the interaction. And whoops. And after that, we can now just type in deleted messages. It's equal to await interaction.channel.purge. Set a limit equal to amount. And then we can type in await interaction.channel.send, interaction.user.mention. And then we can type in something like has deleted len deleted messages. And just like that. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I storing this .purge amount into deleted messages? Well, technically, you can just do this. This will work just fine. However, if you have a logging channel and you want to keep track of the messages that you are sending, or that you're deleting, I'm sorry, then what we can do is we can have this variable. We could store this in that variable, because what this ends up doing is it's going to return a list of the messages that were deleted from the channel, and it's going to store it in this deleted messages variable, which is why we're also able to use the len method to get the length of the list of deleted messages, which is just going to return us the count, or the amount of messages that were deleted. So, of course, you don't have to do this. You can just replace this with amount, and we can just get rid of this deleted messages variable and not have to worry about it. It'll work the same way, but this is just here in case we want to implement some logging functionality for our clear command. Now let's go ahead and move on to the kick command. So app commands.command name is going to be equal to kick. If I can spell. Description is going to be equal to kicks a specified member. And then we want to type in app commands.checks.has permissions. Kick members is going to be true. And then after that, we can just type in async def kick self interaction. And then we want to pass in a member, which we're going to type in as a discord.member object. And then we're going to type in await interaction.guild.kick. pass in member, and then wait, interaction.guild.kick, or I'm sorry, interaction.response.send message. And here, I keep popping that up. And then interaction.user.mention as kicked, and then member.mention. And you can write this out if you want, but if you want to write something like success, you have kicked member.mention, then what we can do is we can set an ephemeral to true, and what that ephemeral set to true is going to do is it's basically going to tell the interaction to send this message into the channel, but only allow you to see the message. So any other staff member or any other member in general is not going to see this message get sent. They're not even going to see the slash command being ran. So when you run this kick command on somebody, nobody's going to know that you kicked them unless you have some logging functionality and they look at your logs channel, or if they have access to your audit logs on your server. Now for our ban command, this is as simple as copying and pasting and just changing the name, the description, the function, and the method there. And we can just change this. So now this is our ban command. Now let's go ahead and work on our unban command. And what we're going to have to do here is we're actually going to have to fetch a user to unban them because they're no longer in that server. So it's not as simple as just mentioning that person. So what we will do, or actually, user ID, and this is actually what we're going to use to find that member, by the way. So we're also going to perform another check, and we can just use ban members again because there is no unban members permission. It is just ban members. And then what we're going to do is we're going to type in a sync def unban self interaction discord.interaction user, and then we're gonna type in a string. And actually, let's change this to user ID. Now you're probably wondering, why am I type hinting this as a string? Well, I actually do not know why. Discord's user IDs are only whole numbers, so it doesn't make sense as to why we want to take this in as a string. But if you take this in as an integer, and when you try to paste in a user ID, it's going to tell you to use a valid integer. But changing it to string fixes this issue. So I honestly do not know why it's set up like that. I assume it has something to do with user IDs and their unique JSON data. Because if you have a user ID and then you have JSON data tied to that ID has to be a string, so that way you can actually find it in the JSON file. I assume it has something to do with that. It's just how Discord operates with their IDs. But it doesn't really change much on how the code functions. It would honestly be the same either way, but this is how you do it. So enough talking about that. Let's go ahead and get back to coding. So now what we're going to do is we're going to type in user and set it equal to await self.bot.fetch user. And we're going to pass in user ID. And now all we have to do is just type in await interaction.guild.unban user. And we can just copy and paste this line here. And since we can't really mention that user since they're not in a server, we're just going to type in user.name and change this to unban. And that's it. So now we can go to our main file and test out these slash commands that we have just made. Perfect. So we have synced our commands. So now if I go to Discord and reload my Discord application, or refresh it if you're on a browser, our slash commands should show up. Yep, they show up just fine. So I have Me6 and Probot here, and I'm going to go ahead and actually clear some messages first. So I'm just going to spam a tiny bit. So what is that? Okay, 8 messages, sweet. So I'm going to clear half of them. So I'm going to clear 4 of these messages. Now, when I was testing this command, I did notice a bug, and I don't know if it's going to pop up again. It might. But as you can see, it deleted the 4 messages, and it indeed popped this message up. Now, I ignore this message. I'm not sure why that happens. It doesn't give me any error in the output, but this is the code for it, and it does work. I'm not sure why the interaction comes up as an error here saying the application did not respond when it clearly did. It deleted the 4 messages and it followed up with a message. So if you guys know why that might have occurred, be sure to let me know. I can't really figure it out, but the way that the clear command is written is it's written with interaction.channel instead of response. And the reason why is because when I use interaction.response.sendMessage to actually send the follow-up message, it'll actually give me an error in the output saying that the interaction is no longer available or the interaction has expired. So this is the way I've found to basically counter that error, and it seems to work, but this still pops up. So if you guys know a fix to that, be sure to let me know in the comments or in my Discord server. But let's go ahead and try our kick command. So kick probot, and okay, so it kicked it. Sweet. It is no longer in the server. It's now giving me the option to add the app. Let's go ahead and try to ban Me6. And it did ban Me6, as you can see. It's giving me the option to add the app. And if I go ahead and check my bans, as you can see, Me6 is in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy the Me6 user ID. And then we're going to go ahead and test out our unban command. So we're just going to paste in the user ID just like that. Remember, it needs to be taken in as a string. And looks like it worked. So let's go ahead and see if they're unbanned. And they indeed are. So there is no longer anyone banned in this server because Me6 was the only one. And they are no longer on that list. So that means they are unbanned. And we can invite them back to the server. So that is it for our simple moderation commands. The logic behind them isn't too complicated. It's pretty easy. The only one that's a little bit troublesome is the clear command, and that's only because of that dumb bug that we just saw not too long ago. But the rest of the commands work as intended. The kick and ban command are basically twins, except one is using the kick method and the other is using the ban method. Those are basically the same, except of those differences there, and then the difference in permissions. Unban is pretty easy. All we have to do is just fetch a user first, and then we can unban them as if they were just a member. Clear. Don't know what's wrong with this. If you guys figure out why the interaction is not responding, or why that error is even coming up to begin with, despite it working perfectly, be sure to let me know. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this video helpful and would like to see more just like it, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and join my Discord server if you have not already. And also guys, I have launched my website not too long ago, and I just gave it a brand new overhaul, a brand new look. Feel free to make yourself an account. Pretty soon I'm going to get started on the forums functionality so you guys can share your code and also receive feedback and help on it in the future as well. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.